welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and today we'll be going over the Iconian Space set. Yes, you've heard of it. You've probably had conversations with your friends, with the expert in your group, saying, well, why do I need to get the Iconian set? What makes it so great? Well, we're going to go over it piece by piece, buff by buff, and discuss why or discuss what it does so you can make an informed decision on whether or not the Iconian set is right for you. So, this is supposed to be the end-all be-all of sets, and in some circumstances that is correct. It is currently the only 4-piece set that is generally recommended by the DPS leagues for just about everything. Alright, so that being said, what makes it so great? So let's take a look at each piece. Alright, so for the deflector array, it has plus 20 kinetic damage resistance rating. This is good because most of the time when you die, it's 2 torpedoes. So you get an extra bit of resistance rating. It gives flat out plus 5 to shield power setting, okay, which means that you don't have to worry about that so much. Sorry, felt like I had a bug crawling on me for a second, so I had to check. Okay, where were we? Oh yes, plus 20 starship shield restoration and plus 40 starship hull capacity, plus 50 starship shield capacity, and plus 50 scientific readiness. Alright, so what does all this mean? Well, plus 20 kinetic damage resistance rating means you're going to have some extra resistance against torpedoes. Nice to have. Plus 5 shield power setting means you're going to have extra power in your shields. Very nice to have. Shield restoration means shields will come up faster. And plus 40 starship hull capacity, plus 50 starship shield capacity means that your hull and your shields will have more hit points, so they'll be a little harder to take down. And plus 50 starship scientific readiness means that your science abilities will cool down a little bit faster. Now, the 40 and the 50 in hull and shield are actually quite high, and this means that if you have, because you have all of this resistance built into this deflector, you can skimp a little on resistances elsewhere and put those resources into getting a little higher DPS. So that's one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons that the DPS guys like it. We'll do more on that later. The tank guys like it because, it's got high resistances built in, so it means they can more easily get their resistances to a point that's going to allow them to tank a bit easier. Okay? Now, let's move on to the impulse engines. So, right off the bat, plus 10% resistance to control effects. Well, that's nice. It means you have extra resistance to tractor beams, extra resistance to tractor beam repulsors, extra resistance to things like gravity wells, etc., etc. Plus 5% defense. That means it's harder for you to be hit. Plus 20 starship sector speed. That means you move a little faster in sector space. Plus 28.2 flight speed, which means that you move a little faster in matches, things like ISA, and plus 0.26 flight turn rate, which means you turn a little better. Plus 5 engine power setting, just straight up plus 5, and when at 100% throttle, plus 10 energy damage resistance rating, meaning if you do get hit, you get a little extra resistance. Okay, so these are all lovely, lovely things. Okay, the sector speed, meh, could live without it. The flight speed and the extra turn rate, awesome for getting from point A to point B in a match. And that means if you can get from point A to point B, it means that you will have less time where you are not firing at things, and that means higher DPS. Okay, that's why one of the reasons the DPS guys like it. Okay, the tanks like it because you get the extra defense. It's one of the things they like, and because you get the extra energy damage resistance rating when you're at 100% throttle. Okay, and of course we get our normal all power to engines, blah blah blah. Okay, the engine power that it also gives you, the +5 engine power setting, is awesome because you remember your shield and your engines, if you're distributing your power for DPS, your shield and your engines are your lowest power settings. So having that extra 5 in shields from the deflector and extra 5 in engines from the impulse engines, that's going to help give you a little bit extra there. Alright, now let's go to shields. Oh, shields have a lot. Okay, so shields give +5 to 15 engine power based on your singularity charge rate. Or sorry, this is singularity warp core. Hello. Okay, so this is of course a Romulan, okay, and a Klingon. So there you go. Okay, but it gives you engine power based on your charge level. We'll take a look at the regular warp core for Feds and normal KDF in a moment. It increases your singularity charge rate by 20%. So that means you increase your singularity charge a little bit faster. Reduces cooldown on transwarp by 50%. And gives this is the first one that does it, a hot restart. Automatically removes weapons disabled conditions after 1 second. Okay. And gives hull regeneration per second while at full impulse. That number is going to change based on how much you've put into hull regeneration. Also gives shield regeneration per second to each facing while at full impulse. And because it has amp, it gives 3.3% all damage per subsystem with 75 or more power at 4 damage. Okay, and it adds 7.5% of your weapon power to your shield power as bonus power. Alright, so now currently I only have one system over 75 for the amp bonus. That does change once the plasmonic leech does its job, and boom, there you go. Okay, so now that being said, we're going to take a quick look at the Iconian, at the stats for the normal warp core. And deflector, singularity, here it is. Now for the normal warp core, you get +6 engine power, bonus increases at low engine power, and a flat +5 maximum engine power, so this allows your engine power to exceed 125, so you can get it up to 130. Okay, it gives you a slightly higher maximum warp factor at 10.4 and adds 7.5% of your engine power to your shield power as bonus power. Okay, so gives a little bit extra to shields, but it's using that, it's basing that on your, gives a little bit engine, little bit power to your engines based on your shield power. But remember, shield power, if you're going for DPS, is going to be kind of low. So that bonus is going to be a little low. And let's see. And it's going to give you 18.8 Starship Warp Core efficiency, which is going to improve your power levels when low. It also reduces the cooldown on transwarp, gives the same hot restart to weapons that is in the Singularity Core, and gives the same regeneration that the Singularity Core does. It also gives the same amp bonus that Singularity Core does, and that is at ultra rare. So if you have not unlocked the ability to get your reputation items at Mark 13 ultra rare, if you have not unlocked that ability, then it will come out at Mark 12 very rare. When you upgrade it, I promise you it will upgrade with the amp modifier on it. It will get that modifier. Okay? So don't worry. Okay? I promise you, if it doesn't, you can come back and go, well, Teacher Kirby said, and you can burn me in effigy, all that stuff. Okay. So, yep, offering myself up. So really, the biggest things here are the hot restart. Alright? Basically what this means is when you're fighting something and they take your weapons offline, it goes snap and puts them right back up. Okay? So this is good if you use, for example, override subsystem safeties, which a lot of people that are DPS centric do use. One of the downside to override subsystem safeties is it takes a random system offline. Well, if it happens to be your weapons, this will go boom and restart it. The other thing is if you fight Iconians a lot and they have those probes that go around and they will shoot off a random subsystem, and this, if it's your weapons, this goes boop and restarts it. Okay, so this will automatically restart. Who else takes subsystems? Tholians take subsystems offline. Or if you're doing PvP against someone with phasers, those phasers will take your subsystems offline. If you're doing Mirror Universe, fighting the Mirror Universe guys, the Terrans, couldn't think there for a second, then their phasers will take subsystems offline. If it happens to be your weapons, this will put them right back online. So this is a big thing, especially since it's weapons. Okay? This is a big thing because if you can't fire your weapons, you can't do DPS. So this frees you up from needing anything else to bring your weapons back online. Okay? And this does it automatically for you after only 1 second. Okay? And tanks, of course, like the hull regen and the shield regen. Okay? DPS players also like the amp proc, the 3 plus 3.3% all damage per subsystem that's over 75. Okay? So, and of course, you like the fact that it gives you extra shield power. Alright? And if you're a Romulan, it also improves the effect of your Singularity Jump's accuracy debuff by 100%. It also gives you that extra engine power based on your Singularity charge level. Okay? So, and increases your Singularity charge rate. Those are all good things. Okay? And we haven't even gotten to the to the set bonuses yet. Okay, so finally let's get to the shields. So the shields are Of course, resilient shields. As you know, I love resilient shields. Biggest reason, they don't bleed through quite as much. They absorb more of the damage, 5% absorption, and only 5% bleed through. So I tend to like these shields a bit more. Nice high capacity, 8,796.3 on this character. Of course, that's going to vary depending on how you've spec'd your character on the skill tree. Alright, so we have 439.8 shield regeneration every 6 seconds. That, of course, will vary based on your spec as well. Reduces all energy damage to shields by 15%. Okay, this is another reason why tanks tend to love this, because it does have an all energy damage reduction to shields. And hot restart automatically removes shield disabled conditions after 1 second. So same as the warp core or singularity core with the weapons, now it's doing it for shields. Okay, so that's big for defense. Okay, and removes 1 debuff every 10 seconds. That's another huge one. Okay, so if somebody puts a debuff on you, and this can be things like, this can be things, oh my goodness, things like subnucleonic beam, things like, oh goodness gracious, various debuffs that off the top of my head I honestly can't remember right now. Thank you, meds. Okay. But various debuffs that players put on you, that NPCs put on you. Okay, anything that slows down your ability to fire, anything that slows down your ability to heal. Okay, anything that gives you a damage over time effects are usually counted as debuffs. This will remove them on its own once every 10 seconds. We'll remove one of them. Okay? Alright, so as you can imagine, the tanks love that. The tanks love the shield disable restart. Okay? So, and remember, the more you can get from in defense on equipment like this, the more you can put into your offense in other areas, because you don't have to invest in the defense anymore. Okay? So that's an important thing to remember for why the DPS folks love this so very much. Alright, so we have 2 hot restarts. Okay, weapons and shields. Okay. We have a large amount of hull capacity, shield capacity, kinetic damage resistance rating, and shield restoration, as well as shield power setting, engine power setting. Okay, all of these things add up to a very tanky set, as it were. Okay, it gives you a lot of defense, a lot of hull capacity, a lot of resistance. Okay, so this is why the tank folks love it. This is why the DPS folks love it, because that means you can go and not have to invest as much in defense elsewhere. Okay, now let's look at the set bonuses. Alright, set bonuses here. So we have all 4 pieces of the set. So set 2, enhanced shield distribution. Distribute shields applies 202.5 shield regeneration for 5 seconds to each facing. Once triggered, goes on 30-second cooldown. Okay, so this, to be honest, kind of meh. I don't use shield distribution most of the time. What I use because I don't use distribute shields, I do use 2 copies of Tactical Team, which distributes my shields for me automatically, so I don't tend to use this. So this is kind of meh for me. If you use distribute shields, this is good. Okay? Because it helps you out, gives you some shield regeneration for a good amount of time, but it does go on cooldown for 30 seconds. Okay? The 3-piece set bonus. Now this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where it gets good, folks. When firing energy weapons, a 5% chance. Now, 5% chance sounds low, but it's actually pretty good. It's double the chance they normally give us for things. And as many times as you're firing in an ISA, you're going to get it more often than not. And the other thing to remember is if your teammates are using this, their energy augmentation actuator will apply to you as well. Alright, so 5% chance plus 15% all energy damage for 8 seconds to allies within 10 kilometers. Stacks up to 3 times. That means plus 45% maximum. Okay? Now remember, I said if your teammates are running at least 3 pieces of the set, theirs apply to you as well. So you can get it going. One of your friends can have it apply to everybody within 10 kilometers. Another friend can have it apply to everybody within 10 kilometers. And boom, everybody's got 45% all energy damage for 8 seconds. And then, as you go, you can, another team member shoots it off, and then before the 8 seconds is up, and boom, that's how you, or right as the 8 seconds is up, and that's how you keep it going. Okay? So, it's very easy to maintain. So this, up to 45% all energy damage, this is huge. This is one of the reasons that the DPS folks like this so much. Okay? And this is, but even without your teammates doing it, for one thing, you are buffing them whether they like it or not. Okay? So you're giving them a buff. But even without your teammates using it, you can still get at least the 15%. And you can probably get it stacked up to 3 times all on your own without much issue. Okay? So this, as I said, is huge. Okay? This is one of the biggest reasons that us DPS folks recommend at least the 3-piece. But be careful, because this is all energy damage. If you're a tort boat or a psi boat, this isn't going to help if your main source of damage is kinetic or is exotic. It's not going to help your main source of damage. It's only going to help your energy damage. Okay, so those are things to remember. Alright, and 4-piece set, Radiant Subatomic Pulse. Ho ho, this thing. Oh my goodness. This is a clickable. If you look in my tray here, it's right here. Okay? It's in my top button, 2 from the, when counting from the right. Radiant Subatomic Pulse. Okay. Oh, this thing is lovely. Okay? Here's why. It affects friend and self. It affects the entire team. Everybody on the map. It gives 33% all damage. So this is every kind of damage. This is torpedo damage. This is exotic damage. This is everything for 30 seconds. It's a long time in battle. Okay. It also gives plus 20% maximum hull for 30 seconds. So this means you're going to be a little harder to kill. And it gives plus 10% flight speed for 30 seconds. So this means you'll get where you need to go just a little bit faster. Okay? So, this is absolutely a huge thing. And remember, it affects the entire team. Okay? So if you're doing something like an ISA, you can hit it, and then when it wears off after 30 seconds, then your friend over there can hit his, and it keeps it up for everybody. And then your friend over on the other side can hit his, and it again keeps it up for everybody. Okay? See where we're going with this? So this is again one of the reasons that the DPS folks really like this set, because it's worth it to get that extra 33% all damage. Okay, and of course the tank guys kind of like that. Ooh, I get an extra 20% maximum hull for 30 seconds from that. Okay, so that's always a nice thing too for them. So I'm hoping that this answered your questions about the Iconian set and why people like it so much. The TLDR of this, it's got a lot of good bonuses for DPS. The 3-piece set will give you an all energy damage bonus, passive. The 4-piece set gives you this nice clickable that gives 33% to team, 20% maximum hull, 10% flight speed. Okay, it's got a lot of good bonuses for tankiness. It's got hot restarts for both weapons and shields, and debuff, passive debuff removal for your character if you have the shield slotted. Alright, so again, that was a TLDR. So you can hear the discussion of Teacher's Corner live on the Pilot Review Show every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to join us for the Pilot Review Show, the link to that is in the, just click the I button on your top right hand corner of your screen, and it is there. And I hope to see you join us.